Call the meeting to order and take the pledge of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our August meeting. I guess we got a full agenda today, so if you're on, we'd like you to keep on time. So if you got 20 minutes or 30 minutes, try do your information in that time slot. Do we have any additions to the agenda, Amy?
No.
Annie?
No.
Paul?
No.
Christie?
No,
I just got a little information when we talk about the jail that I wanna add. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, the regular meetings, the budget review minute meetings, and the bills?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Take it a bit. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
aye,
Anybody for employee time? Kelly?
As you're probably aware of, we have externs in our office from UND Law School, especially during the summertime. Sometimes it's during the year too. They usually get college credit for that, but they're having to drive all the way up to Walsh County as part of that externship. So in the past, when we have externs that are really helpful in the office, or we see some sort of need, I go to the commission and I request that we give them a stipend at the end of their time here. Gas costs are really high right now, and so I'm asking permission. We have done in the past to give a $2,000 stipend to be paid out of the state's attorney drug forfeiture fund. That's usually what we do in the past. They help us with tons of research, and our current extern, Danny, has been wonderful. So that's why I'm asking for permission for.
Make a motion with Paul's recommendations.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any other questions? All those in favor that we approve the $2,000 stipend for intern? Signify by saying yes. Paul?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
yes,
Myself, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Elgatus?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hot seat.
All right, got a fairly quick update, so we did get bids in for bid pack 2. We're currently going through those, we're not at the point where we're ready to go through pack 2. We got a nice amount of coverage, but we do have a few things that are higher than were anticipated, so we're working with the design team, as well as the sheriff, to go over scope, make sure everything is right size and the scope is appropriate, so we can get those costs down a little bit. So we'd like to do a little more work before we come here and present that. So we aren't spinning our wheels a little bit. So be happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of the general overview of where we're at. We're working on it, and we plan to come back in 2 weeks and go through that in more detail.
Any questions?
Ernie, I have a question. A local and newer plumber in town just asked me about bidding on the project. Is that current part of bid back 2 or we're,
Yeah, so everything has been bid out.
okay, okay, so
So
that's
did
done.
pass that window shy of, if we ended up, rejecting part and rebidding something, but otherwise, yeah,
It's done. Okay.
Any other questions? See you in 2 weeks.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Being we're on the jail, I went through Ron's numbers on our prisoners last time. And I just poked the numbers in there, and I was sort of curious, what's it gonna look like in 20 years? So if you looked at the last April, May and June housing. The average of those 3 months was 44,221, and the transportation per month was about $3,700. So if you take that and add it up. And go do it for 20 years. The total would be $575,052 a year at 20 years would be $11,501,000. Now you add the holding port or what we gotta build to hold the prisoners, that's another 10 million. You're already at 21,500,000. So if I take the high one, where we're at now with the 18 prisoners, the housing would be 53,618 times 12, and also transportation. You know, I'm sure it's gonna be higher, but I just used the 3,700. Well, that would be $687,816 a year, and you take that times 20 years, that's $13,756,000 and 320. And then you add your $10 million again for the port, now you're at $23,756,320. Ron informed me now that we've got some of our prisoners and it fluctuates, but instead of the $107 a day, we've got about a third of the 18, we're paying $185 a day. Now you take that $78 increase, times the 6 prisoners, that's $468 a day, times $365 a year, or 365 days a year, that's $170,820 extra a year, just because of the price of the prisoners went up. Now you add that to everything, so you're looking at almost a total, and I use the same numbers on transportation and everything else. But that $78 a day is gonna increase at $3,416,400 in 20 years. So if you add all that up after 20 years, we're looking at $27,172,720. Quite a bit more than what our $20 million is. And the thing is, at 20 years, we own the jail. I was just curious, I poked those numbers in and it was, to me, it was eye shocking. And the thing is, you know, our prisoners now, and that's not including the what, we got 2, I think, in Cass County and 1 in Pembina. So those 3 aren't figured in there either. So I just want people to know that, you know, everybody, should we build a jail? Well, you look at those numbers, it's a no-brainer. The county will own it and we'll save $7 million and it's ours. At 20 years, the other way, it's not gonna stop. So that's the only thing I wanted to add, so. Red River Basin Commission.
I was thinking that I know they're real quick. That's one, right? Good morning. Well, my name is Franco Rubin. This is Ted Price, our Executive Director. And I'm here on behalf of the Red River Basin Commission and really just want to take this opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to the county commission. For those who might not know who we are or what we do and how we support counties across the basin. The Red River Basin Commission is a nonprofit cross-border multi-jurisdictional organization that works to ensure that every voice, including Walsh counties, is represented in conversations, planning efforts, and decision-making processes that shape water management across the entire basin. Whether those conversations are happening at county level, watershed districts, at state or provincial levels, or across tribal governments, our role is to make sure that all communities are represented in the conversation. When we are here to support the work that you are currently doing, especially around flood mitigation, water quality, and soil health, these priorities are not only central to Walsh County, but the long-term resiliency of the basin. But today we want to continue to strengthen our partnership, ensuring that Walsh County's needs, concerns, and priorities remain fully represented across the basin's leadership and planning efforts. Our areas of focus we have 3 primary areas of focus: flood reduction, reducing flood risk, improving water quality, and then strengthening our long-term resiliency. So with flood reduction, we work across the basin to reduce peak flows moving north. Key efforts include supporting retention and storage planning across the basin, which is always a challenge, finding places to store water. Maintaining hydrologic and hydraulic models used by counties and watershed districts in planning efforts. Coordinating cross-border flood mitigation so that upstream actions support downstream communities.
and advancing the long-term flood solutions. And just a little bit about that, it's our basin-wide strategy for reducing flood risk. It focuses on retention, storage, improved land management, and coordinating decision-making. It outlines both structural and non-structural solutions to lower peak flows, protect communities, and strengthen long-term resiliency. It serves as our shared roadmap for counties, watershed districts, states, and provinces, as well as tribal governments. Couple studies that may be of interest, particularly for Walsh County. I just want to highlight them real quick. Is our Lower Red Retention Study and the Oslo Area Transportation Study. The Lower Red Retention Study advances our basin modeling to better understand how water moves through the basin, not just downstream, but also backwards into tributaries during major flood events. Along the main stem of the Red River, backwater pressure can push water upstream into systems like Park River or Forest River, affecting draining culvert performance and road stability. So really our study provides improved hydrologic and hydraulic modeling showing real world flow paths, analysis of backwater impacts to tributaries, and strategic retention locations to help reduce peak flows, and better prediction tools for culvert sizing, drainage decisions, and infrastructure planning. Essentially, we're really just answering the question of how upstream decisions influence downstream flood behavior and backwater pressure. The Oslo Area Transportation Study, you may be familiar with it. It's evaluating the long-term options to raise the Interstate 29 out of the floodplain. The corridor is repeatedly disrupted during Red River flood events. It can affect emergency response, commerce, and agricultural movements across the region. And so our organization is really there to help ensure that any analysis of I-29 is grounded in accurate hydrologic modeling so that transportation improvements strengthen basin resiliency and increase flood or without increasing flood risk. We also work in water quality improvement. Some of the areas that we look at are nutrient reduction partnerships and with producers and watershed districts, cross-border monitoring, a network that tracks water quality trends, wetland rehabilitation, as well as a water quality working group that ensures consistent data and shared strategies across the basin. Ultimately, our goal is that we maintain a long-term planning that improves the resiliency across the basin. So we help counties prepare for future conditions by supporting climate hydrologic planning, bringing government entities together to have conversations about water management, and then conducting infrastructure vulnerability assessments and long-term water supply planning. We also have the Natural Resources Framework Plan, which is a handout I handed just a moment ago. And this is really the guide that it guides the basin's ecological and natural resource priorities. It focuses on wetland restoration, riparian health, soil and water conservation, and habitat connectivity. The plan ensures ecological improvements support flood damage reduction and water quality goals. And it helps partners invest in projects that strengthen ecosystems and build long-term resiliency. And just kind of a topic, our long-term flood solutions plan and our natural resource plan are preeminent documents that are used oftentimes at state and federal levels for funding support on major projects related to those areas. So ultimately, we want to continue to collaborate with Walsh County, and ways that we can do that is we can ensure that Walsh County's local priorities align with basin wide goals for flood mitigation, water quality, and resiliency, and also provide access to data and modeling support, LiDAR data or flood risk tools. These resources can help just make decisions about culverts, bridges, drainage, land, and land use planning. And really another area of our expertise is bringing our partners across Minnesota, Manitoba, and other jurisdictions to have conversations when it matters for water. Certainly happy to be in Okay. So I just want to touch briefly on how our funding works as an organization. Because Walsh County has historically been a part of that structure. When the North Dakota legislature established our annual funding allocation, they attached a local match requirement from counties across the basin. The structure began right around 2010. And has been part of our operating model ever since. The intent was to ensure that the state investment was paired with local commitment, reinforcing shared responsibility for basin-wide water management. So you may have received a letter from our organization within the last month or so, requesting those funds. Walsh County has participated in that match structure for many years, including as recently as 2023. And we appreciate that partnership. We also recognize that the 3% cap on budget growth may affect Walsh's ability to provide funding at this time. We understand the constraints you may be navigating with that and the realities of that. If the 3% cap prevents Walsh County from contributing this year, we simply request a letter of support. Really just that the county is unable to provide funding due to the 3% cap, and that Walsh County continues to support the mission and work of the Red River Basin. This letter helps us demonstrate to the legislature and our cross-border partners that Walsh County remains committed to basin-wide collaboration, even during years when financial partnership is not possible. A letter of support is more than a formality. It reinforces the value that Walsh County's voice is in basin governance, and helps us maintain unified regional momentum. So in closing, we just wanted to again say hi. Or just reach out again, and we really want to just talk about our commitment is really around integration, partnership, and long-term resiliency across the basin. Whether it's the initiatives like the long-term flood solution or our natural resources framework plan, or other ways of supporting the water districts across counties. We help ensure stability or a sustainable water management across the basin, and bringing partners together to have conversations about what that looks like. And I understand that you guys are having those conversations, maybe with a county just down the road, Nelson County, on water and what that looks like, and just making sure that all voices are present during those times and feel represented in those decision making. So that's kind of what our organization's here to help with.
Unfortunately, we approved our preliminary budget for this year, so we're tied.
Yeah.
We can't increase it, but, I guess we give to the Red River Joint Water, but I always get you two mixed up, and you're pretty much work together, don't you?
We work very closely with
Yeah.
them, yeah.
So as now, and I guess, I'm not gonna speak for everybody else, but I have no problem with giving a letter of support. I don't know if you wanna make a motion or whatever, and then let us know, we can send it to your board or whatever, and we'll get, it'll take a while, but we'll get one up for the support.
Yeah.
Definitely, so
I'll make that motion.
that we do a letter of support.
Yeah.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Any other questions? Got a motion and a second that we send a letter of support to the Red River Basin? All those in favor, Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Christie. She nodded her head. And myself.
Yes. Yes, I just found my unmute button. Yes, sorry.
Been too long, I can read what you mean. Great motion. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim Newman, you're up.
Good morning.
Okay.
So I've got a few items on the agenda today. So, first off is the Siren, radio update. Things are going well with Siren. We currently now, of course, we put the sheriff department on first, and they were our guinea pigs, and we're finding a couple of places around Park River that we're having, less, coverage than we were anticipating. But otherwise, we're finding other areas where we've never had coverage, down in Mattocheck Dam and such, that we do have coverage. So I guess maybe it's a trade-off. And the people at the state have been made aware that we've got some issues in and around Park River. But otherwise, currently on the fire department side, we have Adams Fire, Hoople Fire, and Peasick Fire were the first three that came on. They did some testing of their own. Adams especially tested down in the coulees where they thought they may have some problems, and they have no problem at all, even on the handhelds. So they're very happy about that. Grafton Fire came on week before last, I believe. And then Grafton PD has gotten theirs in, although they are still operating on the VHF side until we figure out this dispatch issue. And then Minto Fire came on last week. I think it was last week. We had a fire chiefs meeting, and I was not aware that Minto had theirs installed until that fire chiefs meeting, and I said, here's my list, as anybody else, and they spoke up and said, yeah, we got ours in yesterday, so. Fordville will get theirs this week, and then Fairdale, is planning to get theirs next week. I believe it's next week. So the installs are going well. It's hard to coordinate between, there's like 3 or 4 different radio shops putting them, doing the installations and the programming. So, sometimes, figuring out that choreography is a little difficult. But I suppose we're halfway, or maybe even more than halfway with everybody being on siren. I know that the ambulances are not yet there unless they're there and have told me. And then the hospitals, both have their radios in, but they haven't got them installed yet. Part of the problem is some of these, radio shops are doing many counties at the same time, so we have to just kind of fall in line wherever we fall. So, any questions on siren?
Gonna have it done by the end of the year?
More than likely, I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, we should have it done with it. I would venture a guess that we'd probably be done by the end of August, but maybe some of them will be up in September because of other radio shops having to work with other counties, but. So that, part of the problem that we're running into is that we have created these talk groups in Siren, and we don't have room in our recorder to record them all. One of the biggest problems, well, as I told you a couple months ago, our recorder is end of life. It's obsolete. It's gonna have to be replaced, even if we didn't, go to Siren and add all these different talk groups. And I've been doing some pricing, and it's quite expensive. So, it's not something that I have budgeted for. Of course, I didn't write the budget for this year. So it wasn't budgeted for, and not in the budget for next year, because it was just, I budgeted for the maintenance of the status quo. I didn't budget for higher things, but in the 911 funds, the combined 911 funds, as of March 31st, we had a little over $720,000. And we may need a big chunk of that. Some of the quotes that I've gotten, the lowest one was from Equiture, and it's a cloud-based recording system. So we wouldn't own the recorder itself. And that was $40,913. However, that's just for the recorder. That doesn't include what it would cost to make our radios and our phones and all that stuff talk to the recorder. So that's an extra fee or charge. Eventide, which is the company that we have now, the recorder that we own now is an Eventide recorder. Their newest recorder, and we would own it, would be $59,441. Once again, that's just for the recorder, not how to hook it up. That would be for the hardware, software, and the installation. But it wouldn't be the interface. Part of the interface that Stone's Communication has told us that we could do with the recorder we have now, and then of course it could work with other recorders, is adding a new rack of radios. So we would have one radio on each talk group, and just to record 8 new talk groups, which we need quite a few more, but just to record 8 would be $65,848. So that's not, conducive to, to what we need, because like I said, we figured that we need to record about 21 new talk groups in addition to what we're already recording. So you're figuring about 5,000 per talk group for radio. So that, try tripling that number. The last bunch that I talked to was Voice Products. They're out of Wichita, Kansas. They run the Nice recorder. It's called Nice. It's not a nice recorder. I'm sure it is, but its name is Nice. And their recorder with a 5-year maintenance plan was $53,177. But they said that, of course you need some way to make that work. Well, it's called an IP radio logger. And they didn't give me an exact quote, but they are quoting somewhere in Idaho, I think, or Illinois. It was an I state. They're quoting a similar project for that logger at 160 to 170,000. So all told, the recording system may cost us $250,000. That's not fun, but I mean, that's why we keep money in reserves in the 911 funds. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. When we get more accurate data and more accurate numbers, I'll come back with a request. That sounds like something that we probably should put out an RFP for. That way we're comparing apples to apples and things like that. So just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Christie, I know when we did this and we initially started the radios, it was during COVID. Didn't we have some money left in some of the COVID funds too? Am I not?
There's like 24,000 left in
Okay.
called the ARPA
ARPA,
fund balance.
so that's an option we could probably use for.
Any other questions on the phone, the recorder issue?
Christie, got anything?
No, I have a question back on the siren, but I can wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead and ask it now.
Okay, so you mentioned, Tim, that there were some dead spots in areas where we didn't expect to have dead spots. I believe you said around the Park River area. I'm just wondering what will be done to resolve that, or what can be done?
So so everything that I'm getting, all the reports, I'm sending up to the state and for their interpretation and their problem solving. It could be that we have to put a new tower up or the state would have to put a new tower up in that area to help cover. There are a couple of towers that are in the planning stages or in the process of being built that are just outside our boundaries of the county. There's one down in Grand Forks County that's being built, and then I think there's one over in Nelson or Cavalier. Over in that corner that may help. The siren doesn't work just on our 2 towers. It works on all of the towers that surround us as well. So they add all of our talk groups to all of those towers. So there might be spots where you know, you're not hitting a tower in the county, you're hitting a tower, you know, in Pembina County, or you're hitting a tower down in Nelson County. So it just depends on where you are and where that signal can best get to. It looks for the strongest signal. So, you know, worst case scenario is that we have to build a new tower dead center of the county right there around Park River to make sure that we're covered. But that would be part of the siren system. It wouldn't be something that we would have to necessarily pay for. We may have to chip in. I don't know. I'm purely speculating.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Just from talking to a few of the chiefs, when you say 21 talk groups, they mentioned, do they all have to be recorded? When you're talking about talk groups, they said before we had groups that we don't need those recorded if it's communication amongst the
Right.
squad, et cetera.
Yeah, and the ones that I'm talking about are the ones that we should record.
Okay.
Cause there's a couple of hundred that they can use.
Okay.
But as far as, well, the state already records any regional or statewide talk groups. There are a bunch of those. There are a bunch of non-siren, we'll call them talk groups, but they're actually, actual, VHF or 700 megahertz frequencies that are in the list that they can use as talk arounds. And those are radio to radio, they don't go through the towers at all. So we're not recording those. And then, the only ones that we really think that we need to record are the law mains, the fire and EMS mains, and then those ops frequency or all ops talk groups that we would move an incident onto to get them off the main. That's the plan is if there's an incident with multiple agencies or even multiple units within the same agency, we will dispatch them on the main and then we will tell them, go to ops 1 or ops 2 or ops 3, and that gets them off the main and gets it open for the next thing that comes in. But we need to also be able to record those incidents because there'll be, there's traffic that needs to be recorded for legal purposes, and somebody comes back and says, hey, we're gonna sue and it's because you did this, and we can say, well, no, here's the recording and this is exactly what we did or did not do. So, yeah, I'm only talking about the ones that we went through and said, yeah, we need to record these, but there's lots that we're not going to be recording.
Okay, thank you.
The next thing is the handset and headsets and dispatch. They are also obsolete. We had 2 handsets, one for each, dispatch position, and one of those, don't work anymore. Some of the dispatchers really don't like to use the headsets, but they're having to use the headset on that or at that dispatch position at this time because there's no handset. They all like to do this. And I come from a place where they took the handsets out of the dispatch center where you could have your hands free to type on the computer, but a lot of them still wanna hold that phone to their ear, and so, that system that we have now no longer is produced, so that's gonna be another, cost. Don't know what it is yet. I've asked for some quotes and I haven't got anything back yet. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that, I'm gonna be spending some money and I'm gonna be coming to you and asking for approval for that in the future. And then the last thing that I had, I'm sorry, I just got brought. Here. Is a paging hard patch. So there is a VHF talk group that we have now that is for our paging, and then that's going to remain until the VHF falls off the tower because the cost for a siren compliant or a P25 compliant pager is about $800 or $900 per pager, and so they, until they're just forced to do it, fire and EMS, are not going to, cough that kind of money up for, just for one-way pagers. But we also have a siren talk group that is for paging. We are hard patching that with 2 radios. Excuse me, goodness. Stones has given me a quote on that. I don't have that back yet, but it basically is, we're buying 2 radios to put in the rack that will tie the VHF paging frequency to the siren paging talk group permanently in the background. So law enforcement right now can't hear that paging because they're on the siren system, and you can't put a non-siren frequency in a paging or in a siren scan list. So they're not hearing the fire and EMS pages anymore. So we're doing that specifically where they can put it in their scan list and hear those pages. So that's coming up. One last thing I didn't have on the list, but the fire chiefs asked about their trailer. Now, they own the trailer that's behind our building, but I guess it's titled in the county's name, and they wanted to know if we could sign that back over for them, and I forgot to get it on the agenda, but so I don't know if you guys can vote on that today or if it has to wait until next time because it wasn't on the agenda.
Now, you guys wanna make a motion that we put the title back in their name?
What trailer? I'm not familiar with it.
It's about a 20-foot trailer that's back behind the law enforcement center.
What's it used for?
What is it used for now?
Yeah.
Storing stuff.
What is that gonna be used for?
They are going to use it as a training trailer. They're going to put a bunch of training props in it, and then they can take it around to any fire department that's doing training. And then they can have their training props with them.
So it's in post trailer.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody wanna make a motion that we,
I would make that motion.
second?
Second.
Got a motion that we sign over the title back to their, it's the fire department?
It's the Fire Chiefs Association.
Okay, the Grafton Fire Chiefs Association. All those in favor? Paul,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
There.
Christie,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carries.
And that's the Walsh County Fire Chiefs Association.
Okay.
not the Grafton.
Oh, I said Grafton, yes. Okay,
Mr.
Anything else?
Chairman,
what's
Mr.
that?
Chairman,
Yeah,
I have a question. Can you hear me?
yep,
Okay, my question to you, Tim, is, I mean, you went over several things today, and if I understood correctly, you said you had about 720,000 in your 911 funds?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that all these items that you presented to us this morning, that you would have enough funds to cover them in the 911 funds?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I was
that's-
kind of thinking that as well.
Right, and that's specifically why we have the 911 funds as for the equipment that, when things break, I told you before, when things break in dispatch, it's very expensive. And sometimes when they don't break, they're out of date. It's expensive to replace them, so,
you sort of pre-warned us.
yeah,
So, anything else for Tim? Thanks, Tim.
thank you.
Library agreement and renegotiation, City of Grafton, Commissioner Siva, and response.
I'll start and then I can let Danny finish or. So you all have in your packet the notes from our board meeting. I don't think I need to reread those. We met with Councilman Birionic and Young, and it's in your packet, didn't it? Ernie.
Yeah,
22, page 22, if you look the little one.
on the bottom, I got it.
On July 29th, and I felt that overall things went really well from my perspective. The city council were extremely open to discuss the current contract, look at the funding agreement, acknowledging, where we were when we had 3 counties and the city of Grafton participating to now just Walsh County and the city participating. So, we went through the agreement. And kind of the main discussion points that were held had to deal with. I had brought up kind of the idea of some branch libraries, if there could, whether they needed to be considered branch libraries or not, but if there were other cities that would. Be interested in incorporating that. I strongly feel that. Just even the Libby app itself for people that aren't aware, whether it's the Friends of the Library or the board. Or staff to be able to, educate, particularly your rural areas that could have a lot of value from that. And they would need to be connected to a library in order to be able to use that. Maybe a book fair in their community once a year, or like small library pockets like we do with the senior centers, changing books out every so often. Senior centers, community hotspots like McIntyre and Hoople, or, I really just think working with some of the elevated leaders, there's a lot of great people, there's younger people that are stepping up in these small cities. And that would be my goal, is to be able to expand what the library can offer them, where they see the value versus saying, I don't physically come to the library in Grafton, which I understand. I'll let Denny speak on the parts that he talked about. We did talk about some funding options. And the one that I think we all agreed to present to the board was essentially incorporating the city of Grafton into the county mills, so they would no longer. Levy mills for the city, well, they would, excuse me, it would just be that the city of Grafton residents would then also be partaking in the county mill value, so they would be paying into that. There is the document with the numbers, and I'll ask. Commissioner Hodek to review that a little bit more. I did follow up with the state's attorney on this to be sure that that could be an option, that funding change. And she just said yes, as long as it did not exceed the mills that were in century code. The other piece that I think we would discuss today would be the question for out of the contract clause, and I have learned and confirmed with state's attorney Cole that per century code, it would have to be 2 years. There isn't an option for 1 year. So, and then the other consideration was, the council members and myself were on board with, a 2/3 majority vote or a super majority. Denny can speak on that. He wanted to just be a simple majority. So those were the things that I think as a commission, we need to discuss, decide, and then how we proceed from there.
Yeah, I agree, it's a very productive meeting. Just to be clear, the Libby app isn't contingent to the Grafton Library. You can access that through any library, including Park River. But yeah, very productive. Behind it 100%. Like I say, the only sticking point now is majority vote or super majority to get out.
And that'd have to take 2 years.
Yeah, according to Kelly, yeah.
Just so that's clear.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Oh,
Did you want me to go through these numbers, or do I need to do that?
Might be helpful for everybody sitting here.
Alright. So, at Amy's request, I just put this spreadsheet together to kind of explain the difference between where we are now and what this proposal would do. So that at the top of the page is the 2027 library budget request for the county and the city. So the county request is 128,750. The city of Grafton is 42,000 for a total of 170,000. So the first box represents, under the current agreement, how that would shake out. The county mill for the library is worth $54,000 because it excludes the city of Grafton and the city of Park River. So the county levies 2.37 mills to get to that 128,000. According to the agreement, the county can go up to 2.5 and the city can go up to 4. So the city would levy their 4 mills, which is worth 49,482. So that's how it would shake out under the current agreement. The second box represents basically the same thing, except the county mills in this one includes the city of Grafton. So the value of the mill goes up to $66,735. They would take 2.3 county mills to get to 153,000. Again, that includes the city of Grafton, so that's why it increased. And then the city would only be able to levy 1.7 mills under that scenario because they can only levy up to 4. So that would be an additional 21,000. It basically gets you back to the same place, 174,500. My understanding that in this proposal, we've agreed that we're going to we're going to acknowledge the in-kind contributions, and their negotiated numbers were the rent of 30,000, utilities of 8,000, and snow removal of 5,000, for a total in-kind contribution of 43,000. So the 43,000 and the 174,000 equals 217,000. That's a total budget to include the in-kind. So splitting that 50-50, that's $108,000 for the county and $108,000 for the city. So in other words, that $108,000 is what the county would levy for the coming year. And that's what shows at the bottom. The county would levy that $108,000, which drops the mills to 1.63 mills for the library, again, including the city of Grafton in that valuation. The city of Grafton would levy 2.37 mills, which equals 29,000. That's 138,000 plus the in-kind of 43 is 181. So there's a shortfall of 36,000, and that will be picked up by the city of Grafton. So the bottom line, the county pays 88,616. City pays 128,907, and the total is 217,523. Any questions?
Thank you, Paul, for the explanation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I have a question, or I have a couple questions. My first question is, so listening to this scenario, essentially what is happening here is we are raising the city of Grafton taxes. The citizens in the city of Grafton will have their taxes raised. Is that correct?
Well, they're gonna pay 4 mills, just like they do now, but they're also on the hook for part of the county levy, which will lower what the people who are currently paying the county levy, it will lower what they're paying, plus the city's on the hook for the 36,000 at the end. But that won't be
Right.
this mill. The city will cover that, however they cover it.
But, so are you saying the city residents will not pay more in taxes then for this agreement?
Well, they can only levy 4 mills. So they're gonna pay the same number of mills, but they're gonna pay a share of the existing county, which will drive down the cost of those mills for the people who are currently paying those mills.
so yes.
Okay, right. So the Grafton residents would essentially have to pay more. Unless there's something I'm missing here. I just want to make sure I understand it, but the money has to come from somewhere, right?
They'll pay more, but are they taxed more?
Well, okay, if you look at the first scenario, the Grafton residents pay 49,000. In the last scenario, they pay 128, but part of that is the in-kind that's being recognized in the bottom. The 43,000. Which was really never part of the agreement in the past.
So there's still a difference of 20-some
Sure,
thousand, correct?
36,000.
Right, so
I
there's
mean-
still a difference of 36,000. I just wanted to be clear that that's where we're getting this additional money, because I don't want fingers pointed at us that that we raise the taxes. I mean, this is an agreement and the city of Grafton is agreeing to it, correct? It's not the county residents that will be paying more taxes. It's the city of Grafton residents that will pay more.
And
County residents will be reduced.
Right.
Reduced,
And
right?
and
Okay,
Mr.
can I fit, oh,
Sorry, Chrissy,
I
I was
just want to make
just,
sure I can get back to my next question.
I just was gonna say, I think the point is, it's hard to determine what the city of Grafton residents, but the city of Grafton leaders from meeting are willing, so how they figure their budget or how they're paying, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the likely scenario, but.
Okay, and my next question is the in-kind. It shows that, if I understand this correctly, when I'm looking at the numbers you put together, Paul, if I understand it correctly, it is the city of Grafton owns the Carnegie Regional Library, correct?
Correct. The building.
They own the building.
They own the building. So they own the building. So why does it show, and maybe there's a good explanation, but why does it show that they pay $30,000 in rent if they own the building?
What that represents is this committee negotiated that number as a placeholder in the budget to say that the library is going to pay that to the city of Grafton. It's not going to get paid, it's an in-kind contribution, but this committee negotiated that number to represent a rent income. To represent an in-kind contribution from the city, I guess. You guys maybe can explain that.
Basically, it.
Right, I mean, they're not being charged rent currently, they're acknowledging that
Right.
they
That's what
would
it's
theoretically, exactly, so and the city was clear, they just want that to be noted. You know,
Right.
that was there, so it's not just well, you don't provide as much.
They're not going to be charging rent in the future either.
Right.
It's just a
Just writing that
placeholder, yeah, a placeholder for the city to get some credit for the in-kind contributions. And those came right out of the committee.
Anything else, anybody, any questions?
So if I understand what you guys are saying, then we're pretty good except for the supermajority vote.
And I would say, I mean, I guess from my perspective, after reviewing this and thinking on it, my hope is that this is something both sides feel good about going forward, so that. You know, if it has to be looked at and it's a 2-year time frame, I'm okay with a simple majority.
In the 2-year.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
can you guys explain that to me then, as far as when you're saying a supermajority vote, are you talking amongst both the city of Grafton and the county, the two parties that make up this agreement? It would have to be a super majority of vote amongst all those, or amongst both parties?
Either or, Christie, so if the city
Either or,
decided
okay.
they wanted to end it, they would have a supermajority versus simple, and same with the county, you know, it would be, if one wanted to end the agreement. That's what their board would take, so it's determining what we want, you know, in that agreement.
Because
So-
what I'm seeing is, you know, we just got done with a budget meeting and we're looking at all our discretionary funds, right? Every discretionary fund, we're looking at how do we make this balance? How do we make it work? Do we have to make cuts? This is the only discretionary fund where our hands are totally tied. And that makes me nervous because our hands are tied for 2 years. So why would we agree to stay in an agreement for 2 years when we're having to look at our other discretionary funds and our hands are not tied there for 2 years? That concerns me a bit. And I'm just wondering if you guys talked about that. It looked like in the agreement you did, or in the notes from the meeting that you did. But every discretionary fund has to budget, right? But all the others are on a annual budget basis, but the library is on a 2-year.
And that's century code, you know, for the current agreement that we have. I guess I look at, you know, last year's. That when we look at 128,000 that we have in the budget down to 88,000. You know, we are 10%, we are cutting that in terms of what our contribution is. So I feel good about that from that perspective and. In the scope of, we discussed discretionary and what those funds are, and I think Paul said, the non-essential only make up so much. I mean, at the end of the day. We'd have to get rid of all of these non-essentials in order to even make a dent in the budget, and I don't agree with that. So I guess I feel like this is a good concession in my mind in terms of where we're looking at with the library to be able for them to keep going. And for us to have more equity amongst the county. I felt really good about that with what we discussed with the city leaders.
So you virtually got, I think it's a nice agreement and everything else. So does it have to wait 2 years to start, or can you do it on next year? There's no date or whenever it starts in here that I see. I know I'm missing something. So do you have to wait?
Well, 27's budgets are. Well,
We can drop ours yet, but that's what I'm asking. Is this tied for 2 years? Or is it gonna start like, so if we wanna drop our budget down to whatever it's here, we can do it this year? And this agreement will start.
Right.
Okay, just so it's clear.
Yeah,
But I think we have to
clarify.
Yeah.
clarify, we have to. I mean, the budget timeline is tight, so
Right,
we have to get
right.
this.
So just, so everybody's on the same page that if we decide we can do it,
For 27.
okay,
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Guess the other question that comes to point is, being this is already on the ballot, do we leave it on the ballot and include the city of Grant?
Christie,
We haven't had a motion yet to put it on the
right,
ballot.
we discussed it, but we haven't.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought we were working on that.
no, so when we discussed it previously in June, you guys decided to continue discussions, and then you have until August 31st to make the motion to put it on the
Right.
ballot. So I don't have a formal motion to put it on the ballot yet.
I thought we did that in,
We did,
yeah,
They did,
yes.
yeah,
it was back in
3-2,
March.
March something?
yeah. So it is already going to be on
Mhm.
the ballot.
The issue was approving the ballot language.
Language,
Came
yeah,
out in June.
yeah,
So the ballot language hasn't been approved yet
yeah.
So does
for
this,
the ballot.
where do we go from here?
We could open this up and include the city of Grant. Parker would be exempt because they have their own library.
Christie, or Kelly,
I don't think we can include the city of Grass
kind of the language already,
because of the current agreement, the way it is. The statute's pretty clear that if the city of Grafton is already a separate entity and Walsh County is a separate entity, that the only ones that vote as to whether Walsh County participates in it is Walsh County, or is, yeah, it's the Walsh County voters. You can't include the city
So
of
my
Grafton,
question-
unfortunately.
my question to you, being we've not written up per se anything as a ballot measure. Do we have to go forward with the measure?
No, you can
Next,
You can vote to rescind the motion that you made back in, I think it was March meeting.
yeah,
You can vote to rescind that, but it does require a super majority, 2/3 of the commission.
okay,
So, to be able to rescind an order like that, unfortunately.
I guess, I'm just gonna say what I think we, you come to an agreement already, and it seems like both sides are on it. I don't know why we have to go to a ballot, and I guess I'll ask you if somebody to make a motion, we don't, or whatever, but. I just think that, and I'll commend everybody, the city of Grafton and Danny and Amy for coming to, looks like a pretty fair agreement. I don't know myself, and I'm just gonna say it, I don't think we need to go to a ballot measure, so. Entertain your thoughts,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
they had started talking about that. It appeared to me that there was still a disagreement between the supermajority and simple vote, that wasn't settled yet. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Mhm. And I mean, I would make a motion that, you know, as part of the agreement, because if we agree, I think that's a part of the agreement, you know, and. If we're gonna proceed with the agreement, I don't know which needs to come first or if it matters, but I would, make the motion that we agree, you know, that we proceed with the agreement as is, stated. Per century code, 2 years to withdraw, simple majority, from each board if they choose.
This financing.
Correct, that was stated. Because that's the agreement that essentially with those two caveats, unless I'm missing anything there.
I'm not ready to go there yet. I wanna run this by people that I've been in contact with on this before I voice it
on the simple majority.
on the whole agreement.
You know, we do only have so much time.
Yeah, we're gonna say,
And I will say my other concern lies in the fact that we're gonna be losing our state's attorney, so Kelly can, or we're gonna be having an interim, Kelly can speak on. On the energy, the time, whatever it takes. But some of those things cross my mind too, like how much we're putting on per. Office.
Mr. Chair,
yeah, yes,
would it be possible to just table this until our next meeting so we could have some time to think about it and absorb it? It's a lot of numbers. I'd like to study it a little bit more. Would that be possible? We'd still have time, right? If we waited till our next meeting on, is it August? I don't have a calendar in front of me, but August 17th, I think.
18th.
18th? Yeah, right
The
around
city of
there. Would that be possible?
So the city of Grafton meets on the 10th. So just so everyone's aware, that's the next city council meeting. So we would have, they won't meet again till September. So we're kind of putting it, you know, in their court in terms of what they're. Going to say, because that was the discussion we had, was both meetings, we would bring it to our boards.
oh, I got a motion on, you made a motion that we move forward with the agreement on a simple majority.
Right, and I feel like that's just stating that what, as a commission, we're okay with on the agreement. I don't know that propels us into, it's just the what language is in there, which I personally feel would be good for the city, because if they agreed on that, at least then we would have something in place if we chose to not go to the vote and proceed with the agreement.
So do I have a second to that motion?
Well, I'm a little confused. I guess I'd like to second that motion, but. I don't want it to die here because people want more time, so I don't quite know what to do.
Do we have to have a super though, just to do the super versus simple? I mean, that's just language in the agreement.
Yes, right now you're just talking about what agreement
Right.
we wanna propose to the city, is that correct?
That's what I.
Not
what the
rescinding
motion
the
was.
prior motion. That would be for another day,
Do you have any,
tabled for another day. So right now, we're just talking about the motion. To, as far as what agreement we wanna present to the city.
Right.
okay, well, I can second that then, I think.
Do I have any other questions?
Yes, could she repeat her motion, please? Because it was cutting out. Could she just repeat her motion?
So my motion is, so for the language in the library agreement, it would require a simple majority for either board to exit.
Okay,
Or out
thank
of
you.
contract clause.
Any other questions? Let's take the vote. Christie,
Yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries.
So now we need to
what Kelly, in terms of what, you know, the city has for. Should I just follow up with them so they know, or? Right, say that this agreement that we're presenting for them to determine whether it's acceptable or not.
Okay,
And then if it's acceptable to them, your plan is to bring it back on the 18th for
okay.
additional, I guess,
Or decision.
a decision as far as the ballot would go. And believe.
Okay, anything else?
And I'll be in contact with the people that I'm working with.
I think we'll move into the public comments, because they're, I think they both the library. As required by North Dakota Century Code effective 8/1/2025 by the Senate Bill 2180, speakers shall submit a speaker card with name, address, and agenda item for this agenda. Or the previous meeting's agenda, time is limited to 3 minutes per person. We got a timer up here, so at least anybody that's doing something, they know how much time they got. So Brandon, I guess you're up and it's about the library. Brandon McFadden, if people don't know him.
I just have a quick statement for you guys. So my name is Brandon Mathiasen. I live in rural Walsh County, just south of Adams. And I 100% support my tax dollars going to the Carnegie Regional Library and any other public entity for that matter. One other thing that fails to be mentioned here at the commission is that the Carnegie Regional Library actually does have a branch located in Adams. And it's been there for about 20 years. And I just want to point that out to the commissioners that have lived here in Walsh County their entire lives and did not know that. I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Next one up. You have it ready? Claudia Thompson. Also speaking on the library.
Good morning.
Morning.
I live in rural Brampton with my husband and we live on a farm. And I come before you for continuing financial support for the Carnegie Regional Library. For now and for generations to come. I've circulated petitions stating this request and secured signatures from around the county from Park River, Hoople, Lincoln, Forest River, Mingo, etc., Adams. And so one of the things I want to draw attention to, well, a couple of things actually. The library's mission statement is access to information and also to provide services for the community and also for the future. So these services extend for 40 hours per week and part of the year an additional 4 hours. There is another public library, you've talked about that before, that's in Park River. The limitation, of course, it's in a public high school, and so it is very limited hours as far as accessibility. So a lot of your discussions have been talking about who doesn't use the library, but I want to talk about who does use the library and who are these people. Well, number one, they're all different ages, from young children to seniors, adults. There are people who need large print books. There are people who come in to check out videos from the library. They are patrons from other counties and Park River who pay for a library card so they can use the services there. I've included my handouts for you. There's summer reading program, there's children's story hour, but it also, there's a place for job service that comes there on a regular basis when you need people. At one time, when I first moved to Grafton, there were offices located here and they had to look for a space to meet that's safe and quiet. And that's the library. People can access newspapers there. We all know rising costs of everything. Not everyone can afford a newspaper subscription. Same goes with computers. The computers are used all the time. And as far as Wi-Fi, that's available too. There are people who come to work in our community that live in a campground too. They use the facilities there. There's historical and ancestral research. So say you're coming back to your roots and you want to know more about Walsh County, where you go? You go to the Carnegie Regional Library. So what concerns me is all the closures that have happened in Walsh County, because you all know it and feel it. your schools, your churches, your gas stations, banks, businesses, implement dealers, car dealerships. I can go on and on, restaurants, you all know about that and feel that. So please, we do not need another empty building just because of budget cutting. And mainly, we don't need to cut services. I thank you for.
Thank you for your input.
Here's the petitions and here's some handouts.
I just have to say, I think we're heading in the right direction with the library, so we'll leave it at that for further discussion. I appreciate everybody's input. Been taking money in budget already, so at that, we'll leave that and take a quick break. Christina, you're up. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Well, Christina,
All right, so we got our ND fit renewal numbers this last week, which I then sent out to the commissioners and the department heads for feedback on. So if you looked at the renewal packet, there were some options for renewing. The renewal as is was about a $4,600 increase per month. And then there were other options. So was there any questions on the ND fit renewal or?
I don't know if I missed it, what was the percentage increase then?
It was
Seven
7.7,
something, yeah.
7.76, yeah.
You thought about 10, so that's, you know, it's a nice surprise, but
It's on page 26 of the.
Could be worse.
exactly, well, that's what I said.
And then I did print off what I had sent over email. If you guys wanted to review that table again,
I looked at so many numbers there, I got.
I know, it is so much.
What did we put into the budget?
Yeah, was it? Did we
Yeah,
put
we put
10%?
10%, so we'll have, our budget numbers are in line with the estimated cost for the increase.
With the renewal as is.
Yeah,
Right.
with the renewal as is.
So the policy don't change, deductibles are all the same.
Yeah,
just the
$250 deductible,
Yeah.
80/20.
Any questions, or anybody wanna add anything, or Jason?
They do call it as is, but there is a change where the GLP-1 will be covered if anyone's on that.
The what?
The GLP-1, medication. So I don't know how they call it, if this can drop something that's covered.
I think most insurances are doing that.
You don't read the fine lines.
They're including it or not?
No.
So what, is there a lot of, I guess we don't know who's on the drug.
Oh, yeah, it's hit to find out, so.
That's that little thing where they increase this and then take it away over here. That's the tricks. You just.
Hmm.
Does anybody have any questions, or do we make a motion that I guess we don't have much say, we make a motion, we just stay on the same plan and 7% increase or whatever. What's that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if we should be running this by our insurance committee. Our insurance committee has not reviewed this. When I look at the plans, you know, before, when we got an increase, we had some options on maybe changing up benefits and reducing our premium some. This time, when I looked at it quickly, I don't really see those options there other than going to a high deductible plan, but our insurance committee has not reviewed this at all. So I'm just wondering, before we make a motion to accept, I mean, we don't really have a choice other than to accept unless we let them know we want to change, but do you feel we should be running it by the insurance committee so we can take a closer look at it, or not?
if I don't have a problem.
Mr. Chair, we don't have, I mean, the only thing we could do is what you're thinking, Christie, is if we choose to leave. To put in our 2-year notice, is that your thought, or?
No, I think when I was looking through those plans, and I'm going to admit, I'm trying to look at them on a phone, so it's very difficult trying to look at all those numbers on a phone. But when I looked through those plans, it looked to me like we could save money on premiums, but we'd have to go to a high deductible plan. I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but I'm just wondering if it should be reviewed by the insurance committee. Because as a committee, we have not reviewed this. We always review it every year. And we have not had a chance to do that.
Oh,
I think that's a good idea. This is a budget question. If we can act on this at another meeting, and I think having them take a closer look at it would be a good idea.
yeah.
Mr. Chair, and the plan for a consultant though will be for next year, so it would be basically the 2028 budget. But we'll talk about that at our committee meeting, but I think getting on that, so for 27, so we actually have a more, expert in the field to guide us for a year from now would be great, so.
Well, then let's just table it for now, let the insurance committee go through it, and then we'll have further discussion probably next meeting. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Approval of polling location and polling hours for the 2026 general election.
Okay, the 2026 general election will be held on November 3rd this year. Polling location is at the Grafton Court, the Walsh County Courthouse here. And then the polling hours will be 9 AM to 7 PM. Was there any discussion on polling location or hours?
You feel like you're on the futures again? Okay,
Yeah, we had a lot of good
good.
poll workers for the primary election, who we appreciated very much.
Any questions on the polling location and polling hours?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve poll location and hours.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor for the polling location and the hours, signify by saying yes. Danny,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Jason, you're in the hot seat.
Morning,
Ernie?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think we have a lot of people from Oak Ridge here. Could we jump ahead of that?
That's some other stuff I need to go over before that, but.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This shouldn't take long, those first couple ones.
The first thing on that's not on your agenda is, just want to give you an update. The LEC heating and cooling system decided that it hasn't had enough love this year either, so it went down last week. We got it back up, but it is taking a couple of different trips from customer to come and take care of it. Basically, what we're down to is a 20-year-old computer that we can't update the system anymore. It doesn't work from our end to do it. They have to bring their 26-year-old laptop to talk to it, to right into the program. So if that laptop goes down that customer has, there's no changing the settings. And the control boxes that are there, they're so old, that if we do need to find updates, they don't make them anymore. You're buying them off of eBay and hoping they work in the system. So that's where the LEC heating and cooling is at the moment. So it's operational at the moment, but we've been asking problems coming. So just wanted to let you all be aware of
Is
that.
that just the air conditioning end of it or the heating too?
You still have the metal going through the piping, so we still have that aspect as well, but right now we haven't turned the heat on, so it's. Felt like the heat was on in the jail, so we had turned off all the electric stuff because the other thing was going on, but. We got a heat warning in one of the jail cells, and there's nobody in there, no furnace in there on, so we shut off all the electric heat, because there was something calling for heat that shouldn't have been. So we won't only have that, but we'll have to see how it goes in the next couple of days, how everything adjusts. So they were here again, they were here Friday and yesterday for that one. And on the Chase building, they've been here 9 times, working on the heating and cooling system of that since the beginning. So we're getting there. But I just want to give you updates on those. For my agenda items, I got a couple for you for signatures for drainage permits. First one is from Manuelson Farms. This is for working on some approaches, for moving an approach on County 7. The water board has approved this and I have no concerns with what they're looking for. So looking for a motion for a signature on that.
So move. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second that we approve Emmanuelson's permit. All those in favor? Amy,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kenny, Christie,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The next is 4 applications for drainage permit applications for working right away from Blue Wolf Farms. It's the same areas we've done in the past with them, 2 on County 15, 1 on County Road 8, 1 on 15A by the farmsteads. Looking to clean from culvert to culvert, minimal drainage issues and some older instead of faded in between them, so. Looking for authorization on those, for the water board to come down this morning as well.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the Lowell Farms drainage permits. Christie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Annie, myself, yes. Motion carried.
Thank you. Just with all the different things we've had going on with bridge inspections and budgets lately, I thought it was a good point to remind everybody about the study from Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute that was done after the last legislative session, which shows the county's needs as to where we're at. Right now, according to that last inspection, we were number 8 in unpaved roads in needs, number 11 in paved roads. Number 4 in bridge replacements over 20 feet or for our inspected bridges. And number 1 in bridges between 8 and 20 feet for our needs. Total, they figure we need about $445 million over the next 20 years to meet those needs. In that 20 years.
Can you say that again, please?
445 million. $445.83 million are the needs that we need to maintain we have right now. The gravel needs also includes the townships that they added this last time. But just for this next year, they figure that we needed $20 million for county and township roads. That's not feasible. We won't come anywhere close to that dollar amount. For paved roads for the next year, they figure we need 17.14. Again, not feasible. That's just what they recommend us using for next year. Our mills are capped out at 40, value of 70,000, 2.8 million. We're nowhere close to these numbers. So there are in that inspection, they figure we have 68 bridges that need to be replaced in the next 20 years. So that's $68 million off the last ones, but the prices for bridge replacements have consistently gone up since this study has done. On the minor structures, they figure we need a little over $67 million for that 20-year period, and have 137 bridges that need to be replaced. So we're going to have times where the old days of having bridges every mile are going to be coming to an end. We just won't be able to do it. We won't be able to afford it. It's gonna have to come from our big projects are gonna kind of be like what we've been lucky enough so far, where we get the bread out of things, machine paving project, and we get the grants, and we go do bridges. Well, that's the only way we're really gonna be able to afford to do our big projects for replacements or mill overlays. It's what we're coming down to. The county on its own can't afford it. So just wanted to let you know, it's something we've been saying for a while and it's not getting any better. Really become account with, if you look at last month, we had 42 bridges inspected. And 10 of them, 5 of them were closed. 5 of our first 7 were closed. They're all 20 trust bridges, all about 100 years old. They've met their life cycle. This month, we have 10 bridges being inspected. Including the Minto Bridge, roads repairs were just completed. Hopefully that bridge inspection in the next couple of days. And after that, we get that back up. But we have to wait for that bridge inspection and qualifications first. So that's kind of where we're at with Upper Great Plains, and our needs. Just want to make everybody aware of where we're sitting on that one. So any questions on?
And now we're 20-year study?
That's a 20-year study. And the legislative session has had that go back and forth, had them review that every year for the last couple of years. So I imagine that study will be updated again with Upper Great Plains in the next legislative session.
Well, they're telling us we need over $20 million a year to maintain, just to maintain everything,
Just to maintain,
no replacements.
yeah.
We have 2 of them.
We have 2.8. 40 mils at 70,000, so about 2.8. So.
That math don't work.
No.
Well, thank you for the information. Wasn't very good, it wasn't very good, but thanks anyhow.
What's what I'm known for. The next item on my agenda is the Oak Ridge Bridge, which I'm aware many people are here for that. What the inspections came back with is that we have a lot of inflections in the deck and the different things that have been done with it. In 2006, from the files that I have on file for this bridge, was the last time that the bridge deck was totally ripped apart and taken care of. We took a look with KLJ and had them take a look at things. And honestly, there's no way that we can see to bring this back and do any repairs for this bridge. The Pony Trust bridges are almost impossible to renovate and get the tonnages up. When you look at it in the long run, one of the last bridges that we can remember that they did was a historic, was over $800,000 to do it, and they didn't get it over 10 ton. So at 10 ton, you still aren't taking trucks across it, you still aren't taking ambulances across it, you're not taking fire equipment across it. It doesn't work for us. I had to do that for a 10-ton bridge, and that was like 10 years ago, we thought that would happen. So we'd be looking at over $1 million for that. If we can get things taken care of on that aspect of it. I know there's a community that is straight to the north of it, and right now, from back in that file, the same file, it's already on record from David Leftwich, who was at one point the head of local government, that the DOT was not gonna be supporting that bridge for replacement. So when we're looking at things for replacing bridges on a grant basis, if that's in the file already, we're in a more uphill battle than I thought with two good bridges. You know, we have the one on 12, the Park River, over a mile away. You have the one to the east of it, that's been replaced. Then we have the other one a mile to the east of that. So I don't see how it's gonna be possible for us to replace that bridge. And box culvert in that area, when you get the flows, or the last big flood we had through, basically tried to reroute the river, tried to reroute itself and push it through. Box culverts are over for that spot. It's gonna be over $750,000 to try and put something into it. And you have access to the east and to the west. So that's kind of where we're at with that one. We did take a look at it, but there's just really nothing that we can see that can be done for it to put that back. And renovate what is existing.
And that flex funding deal, like you said, if there's a bridge close to a mile, they're not gonna give us anything now.
No, it's coming down to where if there's a bridge a mile away, they're not looking at it, unless it's a main artery road for a county, or you're looking at putting one across in case that county one goes down, then we can get something taken care of through that. So we have a shaft at the one up by Dundee that we closed to put a box culvert back in there for a secondary route in case our artery road goes down. But it's coming down more and more that way, where we're basically going to be having to create the system of roads inside our county. Where we have our main, our primary, secondary, and the others. It's coming more and more to that. The county and the townships just can't afford it.
You wouldn't even get a box culvert probably big enough in there with the river like that, or would you?
We could probably put one in, but it's gonna have to be a minimum of a 3-box culvert, and they'll still have the chances of the overtopping, just like everything else, because of how the water flows through there. To do that, the last one we bid out, that was a triple box, was over $1 million. A bridge there is going to be probably 1.8, 2 million, who knows? I mean, those are just rough estimates, but the last one we just bid up in Golden, 8 million. It won't be as long as that one is, but would have to be as high, but the one in Golden Township, that's 1.8. So I just don't want for 1.3, so I don't see it. I don't know how. I didn't put in for grants and different things, but when they see where we have bridges next to them, they're gonna drop it. I'll guarantee it. Even if they have tons of letters of support, I don't see it going through.
But they can still submit that and try, right?
Yeah.
Townships do have that option to try to apply for those flex funds, so.
And we'll, as a county, support you, but it's no guarantee they're gonna. I mean, they got our hands tied big time. It's almost like we don't. In that one bridge being close to the mile, it's sometimes. It's like the county don't have a real big say in it. We just gotta go by their rules, and if they're gonna fund it, that's the game we gotta play.
But we did have a bridge in Golden Township that they approved with another bridge a mile away.
So there's not a no, but we,
It's possible.
yeah, we can't give up on it, but we just gotta go through the channels and hopefully somebody out there hears us.
Yeah.
But it's the flex fund and the townships will have to apply for it, you know, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but like I said, it did happen in Golden Township, and then they took it, and it's a mile away from 32.
So let's say if we got support, we've applied for a, like, just to give you guys a timeline. So if we went in there and say, okay, we're gonna try for a flex fund,
Minimum 2 years. So
Minimum
this
2 years.
legislation section.
just to use no. We're not quitting on you guys, but we don't have many options here.
All the funding that's been out there already, has been spoken for. Any of the prairie dog funds for bridges or any of the flex fund for bridges, everything that was approved the last time has been spoken for. It's all been awarded. The prairie dog fund is just waiting for the bucket bill and then the project's gonna start reactivating. But there is no funding at this point in time. It would have
So
to
we're
be,
a year away from even applying.
but minimum, yeah,
Yeah,
minimum of 1 year
yes.
for applying for it. And that's if everything comes back from the legislative sessions for those grants and those funding bases.
The funding used to come like per a mile basis. Now they don't even look at that. We gotta compete against everybody. So our long, to me, it's a long shot. We've been lucky, we've got some. But when you start competing about out west by oil country and Fargo and the Grand Forks, where's the little Wash County stand? It's tough, and we've been very fortunate. Cause they know we got trouble with bridges and everything, and hopefully they look at this one and say the same thing, well, they need help, but because there's one a mile away, they might say, no, forget it. And like I said, we don't have control over that, but you guys get your letter to Rose, and we'll send a letter of support behind you guys, and hopefully somebody will listen. I wish there was a better answer for you, but I don't know where it is.
With the Golden Township one that was approved, the other one, there was two right within each other, right close in the same day. We've been looking for
Right.
maybe 3 years, but from the time that they got closed to now.
But there's not even a both here.
Yeah, but then they had to pick one, so,
But there's a chance.
yeah.
I know Jared, you got, or Leon contacted me and you came, do you have any questions or any? I know what you're hearing today is probably really not what you want to hear.
I just came to learn, but, the thing is that you talk about those bridges a mile away, yes, but to get to those bridges in the winter, something quite often is impossible. With snow, and, we've got, my daughter lives on my farm, she's an ER nurse. My renter is a nurse here, in Grafton.
Yeah.
And there's other people, with real essential jobs there, and it's, you just can't say just because it's a mile away. No, getting to that mile away is a real challenge.
All we're not saying is it's what the state tells us, and I get what you're coming for, and now you're putting all the gist or the cleaning snow and everything on the township roads. Well, they gotta be a little bit, it's gonna cost them more money, so there's an effect. I always call it a rolling ball effect. And I get what you're saying, but you know, we don't make that rule about a mile, and hopefully, like we said, they listen to us once and we can get this through. But that's their brainology or whatever you want, that, you know, we can't afford everything, so if there's one a mile away. We've been turned down and we've been accepted, so it's hard to predict, but like I said, if they want to write a letter and we'll support it, hopefully we can get something to help you guys. Paul,
Jason, if this did get submitted and it did get approved, how much would the state pay out of the total? Is it 80?
It depends on what the cost share put in. If you don't put in any cost share, you're less likely to get them, honestly. Seems like a lot more of them, but the townships can put in what they're willing to put in for a cost share to get that funding to that portion. But they can put that in there and address that. So if the township is wanting to put in 20%, which I highly doubt, I mean, it's still the townships and what they have for funding is available. I know if there was one, we wouldn't be able to. We would be able to put maybe $10 in the push 1%. Yeah. So.
but we as a county, I think we've put some in almost every one we did every winter.
The last ones we changed ours to 80/20s.
Yeah,
So we've taken funding sources just so we can put that money towards it. So the Golden one that's coming out for that bridge, we're gonna be paying about $385,000 towards that one. between the engineering and construction piece.
So the county, we're willing to sort of do a cost share. It's a matter for you to, and maybe that's why we got accepted on some of these too.
It helps.
It helps. And we try to do everything we can, but like I said, our hands are tied. I remember back, this is probably 15 years ago. And we had money in the county and California was broke and there was federal dollars left. And we as a county went for those federal dollars and we replaced the one or two bridges because we had money to map that. And we got California's money here. So it's not like we're not trying to help or do whatever. Well, we got money and if we can do it, we'll stick our necks out to finish. Because it's easy replacing them when they're needed or later, and then instead of 5 years from now, and then what's it gonna cost more? When you see how much anything with road and highway, it's just unbelievable, oil, you name it, it's just increasing all the time on us. So.
The long and the short of it is there's a process
Yep,
that we're willing to work through and help you with.
Yes.
But it's a slow process because it's government.
We have some bridges that are gonna be under construction, the Hagen Bridge, they're starting that this week. That's been closed since 21.
You know,
We finally have the funding for that one, get it up through, and that's coming through, West One portions for it. Golden's been closed 3 years, so some of them we're taking a look at, we can do some preliminary engineering on it, and that costs us up to $100,000 just to get that ready, so we have a shovel ready project. If funding comes along.
we're having more and more money, trying to find money in our road and bridges, whatever. Just look at our expenses, what are they, 140,000 last year, inspections? We never used to have to pay that, now it's us. So it's a tough time to figure out.
That's our cost share of the inspection.
Cost share. So I hope we answered your questions. Your township, I hope you get your paperwork done and we'll,
there's only.
oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to bring your attention to the fact that.
Say, ma'am, you should have had a permit or a comment card. I let him talk as he called me. So if you don't have a comment card,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't.
I'm sorry too. But
Yeah.
I talked to Jared and everything and they sort of tie our hands. Can you make it real short?
Yes, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that the safety of the people around there is what is paramount.
Yeah.
I live alone. My husband died here. It's a very emotional thing for me. That road, if you are coming if a truck is coming, you're gonna go in the ditch, even now. So how are we gonna deal with it? If anything happens to me on that road in winter, no one will know anything until maybe a few days later. Please just take that into consideration, that my husband lived his life for people of Wash County. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, we'll do everything we can, but our funding, our hands are, the county in no way can fund that by ourselves. So we need state help or whoever. And we'll sure try, but we can't guarantee anything. And I guess we'll just leave it at that. So, we hear this all the time. We're not the only ones. And it's hard. It's very hard to sit here and tell people they can't have a bridge, whatever. But that's the way it's going now. We just don't have the money.
We're not telling them they can't have a.
Well, no, but we can't fund it or what, but we don't make the decisions. Our hands are tied, we need money and help from the state or federal, whatever it is. That don't come, then I don't know, so. I guess we're in the discussion on that, and thank you everybody for coming.
The next time I have for you is we did put out a bid for paving or pavement striping on County 4, basically from 17 north for that section and asphalt. That into Cashels and from 9 from 18 from Cashel. So we have received one bid for the project. It came in at $67,161.38. So I'm looking for authorization to approve that contract today.
Somebody wanna make a motion to approve that contract for painting? Second,
I'll second.
any discussion?
They won't let me talk, so I don't.
We've got a motion to accept the contract for the painting bids on County Road 9. All those in favor, Paul,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Christie,
We'll be here.
Congratulations.
Christie,
Yes, yes.
myself, that motion carried.
And the last thing I got for you, Dave, is we've already approved this, but the contracts were just coming through, so I'm looking for authorization. This Forest River had a flex fund project that was approved for their graveling, the contract service coming through to get signed. And they needed the commissioner's signature, so they'll need a signature for you want to go. So just looking for a motion to approve that signature.
Or a motion to approve that signature? Second?
It just so everyone's aware that it does have a $30,000 match from the Forest River.
Second? All those in favor that we sign the contract and the Forest River Flood Fund, signify by saying yes. Christie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Myself? Were you gonna talk about the August bridge inspections or?
And wrapped it up.
Okay, okay, just making sure.
Is that it?
Being there,
That's just the inspection form for the Oak Ridge Bridge. So I could imagine going through 140 of those a year.
so. In our meeting, right, Daryl informed me that the water board, Nelson County hasn't got back to us on our bullet points. And they're not really being receptive, so next week's meeting up there, we're not going. Until we hear something, yeah. I was afraid of this, and guys get in their little clause and everything else, and I'm gonna call that Cody and talk to him and see what he says and say, hey, what's going on? But as of now, that meeting's canceled. But even by the time we get to them and go through, them, they've had our bullet points for a week, or even longer now. You know, he called them and the auditor up there didn't even have a clue. So I guess it's in their hands, if they don't wanna be talking to us or whatever. And pretty much, you guys saw our points, about how they want us to be governed and controlled and everything, so they know where we're coming from. No, I don't know where this is going, so. I will call Cody and see, so as of now, that meeting next Tuesday is canceled.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
is it possible that they just don't have any bullet points?
well, that's why I wanna call them. I'm
So
sure
I'm just wondering,
You think they're gonna
Well,
let us go through with not letting them pump when so their pumps don't get hurt? They've
well,
got.
I guess I don't wanna, I hate to see us cancel at this point. I mean, maybe,
We're gonna get a hold of them and let them know that we need some bullet points to get them to us.
okay, so we are
Well, yeah, I didn't say I said cancel, postpone. No, we're still willing to move forward, but we need them to correspond with us and tell us what they're thinking. And I don't know, like I said, I'm gonna try to tell that Cory and call them and see, you know what, hey, we're willing to work with you guys, but we need feedback from you. So, and it was my poor choice of words, it's postponed instead of cancel. We canceled that meeting, but we're still willing to move forward and everything else, as long as they get us their bullet points. You guys wanna go up to Nelson County and just be blank and have them shoot them at us? I don't. I've been to a lot of water board meetings and everything else, and I don't wanna go into it blind. I wanna know what they're thinking. So. we'll leave it at
okay,
that.
I'm sorry, the Zoom froze, so I lost most of what you said, but I just wanna make sure. You said we are not canceling, we're just postponing at this point?
Right.
Okay, all right. I'm good with that. I just didn't want to cancel and call off everything. So, okay, thank you.
That was a bohemian with the poor choice of words.
That's okay.
First time, yeah.
All I had, unless you guys had any other questions for me?
No more surprises between Bridges and Chase, we don't want any.
Paris.
Kelly, you're up.
Thank you.
Jason, I signed him.
Okay.
Right?
You're on.
Yes, so you have all received my letter with regard to my resignation as state's attorney effective August 16th. I will begin the next day as Northeast Judicial District Court Judge, so I'm excited about that new challenge, but also sad to leave, so. I thought I was gonna come here today and ask you to appoint a state's attorney, but then when I got around to looking at it closer last night, there's century code that says although you are to appoint for vacancies, you also may not appoint if it's within 95 days of an election. So, under the statute. So, I had no idea of that until I was looking at the statute a lot closer. So what happens is the state's attorney position needs to remain vacant essentially, so no appointment. I think we could, appoint interim state's attorney, and appoint Stewart as interim state's attorney. I do not believe, and I talked it over with Tanya a little bit too, that you can, move forward with hiring an assistant state's attorney under the circumstances. So, you also wouldn't be able to appoint anybody as state's attorney, even if you were able to, if they hadn't resided in the county for 30 days, so. So my recommendation, I guess if there is a recommendation, is to go ahead and, have Stewart, Mr. Askew, operate as interim state's attorney in the meantime. I would also ask that you adjust his salary accordingly. I think it would be appropriate, to give him this, he's at a certain step as assistant state's attorney. I would ask that you move him to that step as state's attorney, because to be honest, there's a lot going on right now. Which is kind of why it's weighing heavily on me, but, so I would ask that you do that. I would also ask that you give him permission to contract with an attorney to help out, in the next few months. Or I know Grand Forks County has reached out, they did indicate that they would provide some assistance. I don't know how much. So I would ask that you give him permission to, there'll be money in the budget as, my salary and the salary, the assistant state's attorney salary, to contract with somebody that might be able to help him out sometimes. Any questions for me regarding any of that? I know it's a lot.
Just wanted, I'm assuming Stuart's willing to do that.
Stewart is willing to do that under those circumstances. He does acknowledge that he's likely gonna need help. Cause the stress level, of course, is gonna increase immensely. It just happens to do that as state's attorney. So. And then also the caseload, just the cases that he's gotta take on, that sort of thing, so. But he's willing to do it for the interim. And then go from there.
So, starting with the list that you got here, starting on the top, the resignation. I hope nobody wants to make a motion, we accept it.
Mr. Chair, with regrets, I make a motion to accept.
Okay, do I have a second?
No second.
We got a motion on the table that we accept Ellie's resignation with regret. All those in favor? Paul,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carries. And thank you, Kelly, you've done a great job for the county, you'll be missed.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I couldn't even bribe her with jerky this morning this day. Then the appointment, we can't do the appointment of the state's attorney, but then we wanna make a motion that we move him up to the attorney's
Interim.
interim and then and move him up into the pay of the attorney, not attorney. The higher scale, so that's easier,
Yeah, from assistant state's attorney to state's attorney.
and then look at the pay. Do I have a second?
Oh, is that it?
Oh, no, I thought you made him, okay,
Well, and we should include with being able to contract or
Yep.
allowing him to contract with other attorneys as needed. Is that
somebody
accurate?
we can put that all in one motion, or you want separate, or how do you guys? I don't think it matters.
Now one motion,
Sure.
second.
Okay, we got a motion that we move him up to state's attorney. Change the pay scale and also let him, if he needs to hire an attorney to with help. All those in favor, Christie,
yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, that motion carries. That was sort of a mess.
All right, The next item on my agenda, and Tim is here as well, is the public safety answering point, Attorney General opinion. I think we tabled this at the last meeting so that I could reach out to the Attorney General's office, and I spoke to a couple of the Attorney Generals and was referred to the political subdivision, Attorney General Allison Hicks with regard to this. And Mr. Newman and I were able to have a conversation with her yesterday. She has indicated that the questions that were posed to the Attorney General's office was whether an additional fee could be imposed on the citizenry, on the Grafton citizens for 911 communications. And that is something that the county is not allowed to do, is impose that additional fee and make it any different than what the Walsh County citizens pay. So I think everybody pays the same, that's a $2 fee. We would not, under this opinion, we would not be able to increase that fee and require Grafton citizens to pay more. So we're not doing that. I don't think we've ever proposed to do that. What was not addressed by the decision is what she indicated is 911 emergency services versus non-emergency dispatch services. And so that issue was not covered by this opinion. It's my understanding of what her decision was with regard to that. That's her position. So essentially, I think we're back kind of where we started. Any questions to either myself or Mr. Newman regarding that?
Mr. Chair, can I ask we have these command logs in here, what those are in reference to?
The command logs are, I think those were attachments that Mr. Fleming sent in.
It's all part of it.
Where it was all part of the request for the opinion. And those were, I think, specific cases that he took. I think Mr. Newman has a response to most of those cases and an explanation as to what exactly happened with those, that they were kind of taken out of context. Is my.
I can address them if you'd like. There was 4 of them.
Just make it quick.
There were 4 calls for service that were attached with Rob's letter to the Attorney General's office. One was a domestic in the city of Grafton. Came in on 911. It was dispatched by our dispatch center to them. They arrived within 3 minutes. The other one where he says that there was a lot more information in the call was in Minto. It was a sheriff's department call. It also came in for 1, and it took 8 minutes for them to get there. So that was a lot more time to add information into a call for service. The third one about a non-injury accident in the city of Grafton came in on the sheriff's department line. It was actually an employee of the county that called the sheriff's department line for a wreck that they had here in town. No injuries, no property damage other than vehicles. And so they were directed to call the Grafton PD line. The fourth one was a call about wanting our dispatch to run someone and check for warrants. And we are not allowed to do that because at the time, we don't own their ORI or their number that we have to use to run NCIC warrant checks. The only way we could do that is if it was a life and death emergency. And it wasn't. This person was sitting in the jail, in cuffs, in full view of the dispatcher in the camera. So they could not legally run those, that warrant check for them. So that's the explanations for those 4 calls for service that they used as examples.
Mr. Chair. I mean, I've always been very clear on this. It's not a good look as a county when we say, I mean, if I called and I was in stress because I had a car accident and I was told, I called 911 and I was told, call this number. That's not a good look. I mean, that from a perspective, if this is another area where we have to work with the city to be able to make things for our deputies, the police, the city officers. I just still feel like whatever's legal or what we determine doesn't mean it's right. And that, to me, is when I read on here, advise her to call police department, or we can't do that for you. It just is a setup, in my opinion, for something to not go right, and whether or not we are liable for it, doesn't mean that it just still is not the right thing to do to work together. So, I mean, this is a whole nother issue, but
Kelly?
And just so that you are aware, this was clarification from the Attorney General's office. The city through Mr. Fleming has indicated that they intend to litigate this matter. I don't know if the fact that Ms. Hicks provided that clarification will change the city's mind or not on that. I haven't had a chance to reach out since that conversation because my calendar was stacked yesterday and let them know what Ms. Hicks had provided, but just so you know that there is a potential for litigation with regards to this opinion and requiring us to provide those extra services, those non-emergency services. And based on their interpretation of the letter.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
What I struggle with is non-emergent. I mean, from having conversations and meetings with them, they don't want stuff that they can help during the day, the 9 to 5. The concern comes the night, the times when it's outside of working hours. So to me, that's not non-emergent. And we're not doing that, correct?
We dispatch all 911 calls, whether it's in the city or not. We're dispatching all 911 calls, and we use the radio to call them and send them on calls. We're not telling people on 911, no, this is not an emergency, you need to call Grafton PD. We're dispatching them. Just like we would, I mean, even if it's not an emergency, if it comes in on 911, we are sending Grafton PD at this time. It's when they're doing car stops, they're, getting barking dog complaints. The truly non-emergency stuff is when we're not doing that because we're not being paid the extra. And it's not us, it's not me. You guys can decide, and we're fully well and capable of dispatching for them at this time. But I think that, and of course, I just came into this not too long ago, so I'm just going from what I understand from history, but I know that for 24 years, they paid a fee, paid a portion of the dispatching services. And then when they left the law enforcement center, they no longer paid for the law enforcement center or dispatching services. And so that's on you as a commission to make that decision. We're ready to go if you want us to dispatch for them. And yeah, so I mean, we're capable and willing and ready and great. Like I said, they are on Siren now, but they're using VHF until we work this issue out.
So that to me is maybe for further discussion. I don't know how else to say it, but if we want to choose to do the dog barking or whatever, then I guess you're saying it's pretty much up to the commission to decide to let it go. Okay,
Right.
Mr. Chair, I would say, I mean, I think, and I can ask them to come and be present at a future meeting too, because it has not been my understanding that they're not willing to do the things they don't need. What I've been hearing that concerns me in the past is that there have been situations that have provided concern for officer safety. There hasn't been consistency across dispatchers in the past to say, I can't dispatch for you. Oh, I'll dispatch for you because I know you. Those are the things I don't like. I don't like thinking that we do not have consistency across the board. When it comes to what they pay us or whatever, I really don't care about that. I want there to be a consistent process that is agreed upon from the Grafton Police Department and the county. And it's just hard for me to understand why we cannot come to an agreement on that. Because avoiding litigation should be our goal.
I guess you're maybe up on and invite him to a meeting and come talk to us.
Right.
Talking usually works. Anything else, Kelly?
Nothing further on that issue, if you don't have any further questions for me with regards to that.
I just have one, so in your opinion, this doesn't change anything.
In my opinion, and based upon my conversation with Allison Hicks, it does not change anything for that. It's the issue of the non-emergency versus emergency services, and it's my understanding under the statute. We are providing that full list of services that's required under the statute based upon what Mr. Newman has told me. So I don't know if there's past circumstances and those now have been corrected, or what the situation necessarily is. That's my thought on it.
Thank you, Timmy.
The next item on the agenda is I would request a motion to go into executive session pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 4404-19.1 and 4404-19.2 for attorney consultation regarding reasonably predictable litigation involving 73rd Street Northeast Texas crossing and access to property.
I will make that motion.
Christie, Danny, you want a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second that we go into executive session about the 73rd Street Northeast Texas crossing. All those in favor? Danny? Amy?
Yes.
Amy? Oh,
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. I guess we'll go into executive session then.
Before I leave.
It was 2008 or May 1st, 2007,
And then when you became state's attorney, what year was that?
October of 2017.
October 2017. Well, congratulations on your life.
What's Judge Whalen doing?
Doing pretty good last time. I talked to
Not
him.
the federal judge now, those federal cases.
Or Thompson, right?
Well, I think technically she's resigned.
I have to end this.
Yeah.
So Christie, I'm gonna end this meeting and restart it. So it's not on live. Okay,
Okay, so I don't need to do anything on my end?
well, you'll have to rejoin, you'll have to end to. It'll
Rejoin.
end and then we'll rejoin.
So will I get a new email to rejoin or do I just use the same one?
You can use the same one.